Welcome to the Comfy Chairs, a podcast from 123 Limited, where we are totally obsessed with leading and learning. Mechanical engineering. It's not a usual starting point for this podcast. This is a field that involves the design of power using and power producing machines. So it's natural that today's guest moved from mechanical engineering to being an authenticity strategist, focusing on her clients' confidence in their innate gifts and attributes. After all, confidence is all about being conscious of your own power. I'm pretty excited for this conversation. Authenticity is deeply rooted in emotionally intelligent leadership and is, I believe, a natural byproduct of lifelong learning. So, Inga, thank you so much for joining me in the comfy chairs. I'd like to have a moment for you to introduce yourself, please.
Okay, so my name is Inga. I go by Ingafay. I am an authenticity strategist. And I'm sure some of you that are listening, it was like, that sounds cool, but what does that mean? I basically work with women. I'm all about empowering women to be the best version of themselves. And I have two groups of women that I serve. First and foremost, I serve female entrepreneurs with introverted tendencies, often in the coaching and consultant space. And I am just all about really just serving them and helping to empower them so they can use their innate gifts as an introvert in an extroverted world. And we'll get into that a little bit later, what that means.
Yeah.
In addition to that group of women, I also serve professional women, and I'm just really all about helping them feel comfortable in their own skin. And why, you might ask? Because when you look good, you feel good. And when you feel good, you do more. So I really want to help them use their God given attributes to do what they want to do in this world. I come from a very male dominated business background in mechanical engineering. So I was always one of the only, pretty much most of the time, the only woman in the group.
Yeah.
So I know how that feels. I know how when you have all of that male energy around you, you feel like you have to kind of act like them. And I found myself doing that at times that I really didn't like that. So I'm all about really helping women feel good about who they are, about their gender and what they represent, because we have a whole different mindset on the way we think about things. And I want them to feel confident being able to serve that aspect of themselves and don't feel like they have to act like a man especially if they're in a male dominated type of feel like I was. I want them to really be true to themselves and be able to share their expertise and knowledge and not feel like they have to sit back and let the guys do all the things.
It's wonderful because you're focusing on authenticity. It doesn't have to be this cookie cutter girliness, right?
Exactly.
It's what
Exactly.
does it look like for you
Right.
as somebody that identifies as a woman to be your authentic self. And
Yep.
if that means that you go full out on the full face of makeup and the
Right.
5-inch heels, rock on. And if it
Yep.
looks slightly different for you, how are you embracing those aspects of your womanhood or
Totally.
femininity or fill in the blank?
Yes. Totally, totally, totally. Totally
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
My,
absolutely love the title authenticity strategist. In fact, I'm wildly jealous that I didn't come up with it first. Um, one of the reasons I love it is because I like plans, and a strategy is a plan,
right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really curious in your work, what steps do you typically include in the plan to become authentic? What does that look like? Where do you think we need to start?
Well, I think initially, coming from an introverted point of view, I think about four P's, I'll say. Well, really, I'll say five P's. I'll say five P's. And the first P I'm going to say is prepare. You want to have some quiet time. And I guess
Mhm.
I didn't realize how powerful this quiet time was until about a couple of weeks ago. I'm in this mastermind with some other ladies, and we were just talking about having some think time. Do you schedule think time every day? And I was just like, man, I don't like make it an appointment. I mean, I do it naturally, but I didn't like say, okay, well, from 10:30 to 11, I'm going to be just thinking. And I was just like, wow, how powerful would that be? So when I got off the call, I'm one of those people that when I get a nugget like that,
Yeah.
I gotta immediately act. I sat down and I just thought for 30 minutes. I just sat there and just kind of thought and wrote stuff down. And it was amazing to me what I came up with on my own
Yeah.
by myself. Because I don't know, for whatever reason, I guess it's because from education, you're kind of trained that you need to get somebody else's opinion
Mm.
and you need to talk over things with people and, kind of determine if you're going the right way. But from that, just 30 minutes of just pure, just thinking on my own, that still small voice was saying, you need to do this, this, and this.
Mm-hmm.
And I sat there in amazement. So that's been like the biggest nugget for me, that to prepare. Then the second P would be to just be present. And I notice that oftentimes I can be sitting in the meeting and I know I'm thinking about stuff as people are talking. And I know some people may take it as, oh, well, she doesn't even look like she's listening to what I have to say, or she's just sees unenthused. No, I'm actually pondering over what you're talking about. So I realized that it's very important to be in that moment because it's so easily to be thinking about something else that's going on that you're not present in that moment. So we got the prepare, we got the present. Then we got the next P, which I call push. Push until success happens is what it is. And I just thought that was so phenomenal because so many times we want to achieve a goal, but we just want to achieve the goal where we are now. But in actuality, we have to grow into the goal. So it's so important for us to step out of our comfort zone, to do those things that we normally don't do, to be that better version of ourselves. And as a result of that, are able to do something that we've never been able to do before because we did that. The fourth thing is to practice, because you gotta practice to improve. And that's really my fifth P is to practice to have progress. So you want to practice for progress so you can be able to be your authentic self, because that's where the confidence comes into. You have prepared, you have been present with the people that you're working with or your team or whatever is going on, or really just being present with yourself. And then I got to keep practicing. And as a result of the practicing, I'm going to have that progress. It's going to help me level up. That's where it comes into. So I just think about the times in my life. One of the biggest things that I can think about is I was in grad school and my brother had been doing all of these bodybuilding competitions. So I was thinking, well, man, that sounds something like cool to do. I don't know if I could do it, but maybe I should just try. So I decided I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna attempt to do this. So I get me a personal trainer. We're working out. We started doing this in August. I think the competition was like in February. So we're doing all of this workout and all of this. And I had to change my eating habits. I
Yeah.
had to work out twice a day. I had to lift weights twice a day. I mean, it was crazy. All this, basically a complete life change. And through that trial and tribulation, I just couldn't get over all of the work that I had to do to put in to actually reach that result. And to be, and I mean, like I said, it was 6 months of hell, but I did it. I mean, I made it happen. I worked, I did the due diligence to really work through and make it happen. And get out, y'all. I won. I was so ecstatic that I had won this competition. I mean, I look at that trophy and it's just like, that's when it clicked for me
Mm-hmm.
that you got to put it all in to really make it happen.
Mm-hmm. Being all in.
So,
And when we have big goals, it's pretty amazing what we can accomplish.
oh, yes,
Yeah.
yes, for sure, for sure, for sure.
I absolutely love, and this is definitely kind of like on brand for you in terms of authenticity, that you're still learning. That it's,
Yes,
hey, this is something I didn't know about. I'm trying it, I'm testing it, I'm seeing benefits, I'm going to keep doing it. Being authentic, being confident doesn't mean that you don't change.
That's right.
I think that the very first starting point for us is it's self-knowledge, right? You have
Yep.
to know who and what you are. And introversion and extroversion are such a great place to start because those preferences or tendencies inform so much of how we behave and interact with the world.
Yep.
You've told us that you focus on women with introverted tendencies. I'm an introverted woman myself. So I'm very curious, super curious about how you coach, how you guide, start the conversation about confidence with people who are typically not comfortable or excited, if you will, to speak up. I'm guessing it's going to look a lot like the prepare and
Yeah, I
present
think,
and
and it does. It does look like that. But I guess in this sense, when it comes to my coaching, I, instead of having the five P's, I have the A game is what I call it.
okay.
And the first thing in my A game is that you want to ask and not assume. Because I think people have preconceived notions about people based on past history. Maybe somebody told them something or whatever. But to me, you don't really understand until you ask, because at the end of the day, all of us want to be seen, we want to be heard, and we want to be understood. And what better way to really let somebody know that they matter is just by talking to them and asking them questions. And then a natural trait of an introvert is to empathize with whatever they're telling us about what's going on with them or why they do something a certain way. So then once we're able to do that, to really ask the question and not assume that they're doing it in a certain way, then we're able to assist instead of annoy, right? Because we've asked them the question. As introverts, we're deep thinkers. We need time to ponder over what we're going to talk about. And that was one of the things that I loved about what you did, Kate. I've never had somebody to like, okay, this is what we're going to talk about. But you actually literally, as an introvert needs to do, gave me my think time to really be able to be like, okay, well, she said we're gonna talk about this. So what would I say when we talk about that?
Yeah.
So then from a business point of view, we've asked ourselves or we've asked other people. We then come from a point of service more so than annoyance. And then we're truly able to attract people to us instead of attacking them. I'll say it that way. We want to attract more so than attack. You want to be on the asking side of the system so you can actually assist them and then attract them to you based on the solutions that you provide. So that's how I teach my clients to do their business. And then when it comes to me helping my clients, I do the same thing because I'm definitely going to lead by example.
One of the things I like about your A game is it's not just a model for the introvert. Lean into the fact that you may not want to do all the talking. So ask questions, get the other person going so you
Yep.
can understand. Assisting versus annoying is support and service.
Yep.
And you don't have to be big and bold and
Yeah.
unnatural to yourself. It's also
Yeah.
a great model of how do I work with an introvert? Ask and don't assume. Just because you're quiet doesn't mean that you don't have a thought.
Yeah. Exactly.
What does assistance look like for an introvert versus an extrovert? And how do I invite you rather than demand?
Exactly.
Because introverts are so good at shutting down. I wanted to kind of come back to that idea of empathizing. You talked about how it can be something that's really natural for introverts.
Mm-hmm.
Because empathy, definitely something I want us to talk about. I want us to be able to bridge over into emotional intelligence in this conversation because authenticity, confidence, emotional intelligence have connections to them. But empathy is really the cornerstone of emotional intelligence. And I personally believe that it is a function of imagination, that being able to imagine what things are like for others,
Mm-hmm.
that's empathy.
Yeah.
And that in turn is a reflection of that inner life of the individual. And this is not to say that extroverts don't have that capability. And the podcast that came out just before this, earlier this week, was about like workplace spirituality.
Mm.
That episode was, and we talked about inner life. Workplace spirituality, or making meaningful work, is about allowing people to bring their whole selves and acknowledging that employees have an inner life. So your work is in many ways about how are we finding meaning for people,
Right.
which I think is one of the things that we desperately need in today's work world. I do want to go ahead and move into emotional intelligence because we were talking about awareness and authenticity. Those are cornerstone principles for emotional intelligence. There is opinion and research that shows us that authenticity, EQ, emotional intelligence, mindfulness, those are all interrelated. I would love to hear your thoughts on this topic. As somebody doing that work, how do you see it play out?
Well, I think people think confidence is something that you have to have when you first start out. But I view confidence, or really courage, as a muscle that you build over time. And I think that's why it's so important for when I learn something that I act, is because I know that that's the first step of confidence. I got to act. I can't sit on my hands. I can't pray that it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I have to take some kind of action for for the transformation to even start. And in that action that I take, being full aware, mindfulness, having the mindfulness that I'm going to suck, and I'm probably going to suck for a while.
So
Okay.
much sucking, yes.
Yeah. And it's totally okay that I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
suck, because in the midst of my sucking, I'm going to eventually like totally figure it out. And that in the result that I ultimately get, I really didn't learn anything when I got the result. It was the journey way before the result that helped me figure out how to get the result. So failing is like all a part of it. I want to help people fail as fast as they can,
Yeah.
because the faster they fail, the quicker they can get to that result. And having that mindfulness and that awareness that, hey, I'm gonna suck, and I know I'm gonna suck. I don't know how long I'm gonna suck. And maybe I can find somebody that will help me not suck as long so I
Yeah.
can lessen this learning curve. But I'm gonna suck,
Yeah.
and be okay with the suck, because on the other side of it, you're going to be successful. You're going to get those results. And that's where the confidence comes in.
I love this. The lesson is the journey. It's not the loss or the win.
No, it's not. It's not.
You talked about confidence is courage. It's a muscle that you build over time. That's a wonderful analogy for you to use as somebody who has done bodybuilding.
Yeah.
And what it looks like for us to build muscle, it's actually not a pretty thing. Not just the I have to change my life and do things differently.
Mm-hmm.
We build muscle by kind of damaging the muscle. You're tearing those fibers in that activity, and the build happens when the body repairs itself.
Right.
It's like broken bones are stronger at the broken place
Right.
because the lesson has been learned, the sucking has happened. Your story of doing that bodybuilding, you couldn't stay the same,
Right.
right? You had to make some sacrifices, but you had to change how you were caring for your body, for yourself.
Exactly.
And I think that's a wonderful lesson when we think about being more confident,
Mm-hmm.
being authentic, is that it's not going to be all glory. The
Right.
path to it is not lined with well wishers and cheers and gold. It's going to be kind of crappy for a while.
Yeah, it's going to suck.
Yeah. Yep. It will suck. And vulnerability, the willingness to say, I want to be different, the humility that comes with failure, those are the paths It is the path from the decision that I want to be authentic to becoming confident.
Right.
And
Right.
the story of training for something, so many people have that experience.
Oh yeah.
It can be a great handle to understand if I want to become more confident, let me look at these lessons from my life.
Yeah, you got to be vulnerable. I mean, oftentimes we look at stars or, anybody that you
Mm,
admire, like your person, whoever that person may be, and you're just oohing and on. Oh, they're so awesome. Oh, they're so great. But how did they get that way?
yeah,
They went through the suck.
I
And I
did.
think so many times people just want to go from where they are right now up to where that person
Mm-hmm.
that they are admiring is. But that in between, that little dash, that's what you have to go through. There's no jumping over it or leaping over it. You have to go through that dash to get there.
It makes you vulnerable. It's
Oh
about
yeah.
it's about being real, and that's scary for us.
Yeah, it
You know,
is.
the lizard brain kicks in. This is the ask, don't assume that you talk about. We assume that that person just instantaneously burst onto the scene and they're magnificent. And the sacrifices, mess ups, the sucking, those get buried under this assumed story.
Yep.
And I think we've made it harder for ourselves in the modern world because we curate our lives now. You don't see reality in one of the places where we have the most interaction with people online. We see perfection there.
Yep. We do.
I don't think it's necessarily easier for men, but I do think women have this burden of comparison when it comes to how easy and graceful does my life look.
Yeah, I would totally agree. Yeah, and I think that's why it's very important that you surround yourself around positive,
Mm-hmm.
um, growth-minded people. I'll say it that way. Because when you have those vulnerabilities and you're in a positive, growth-minded group of women, I mean, they're going to encourage you. They're
Yeah.
going to support you through your suck. I think it really comes down to the type of women, really not even just women in general, just the type of people
Yeah.
that you're hanging out with.
This is an important lesson for us in this conversation that part of the work of building my own confidence and being authentic is encouraging other people. In your journey to learn and grow, are you lifting other people with you in that process
Right.
or becoming a burden?
And it makes a difference, a huge difference.
Huge difference.
I think it's very important that you be cognizant of that, of who you're hanging out with and
Mm-hmm.
how they're affecting your energy.
And I would
Yep,
pull this back again to self knowledge and self awareness.
for sure.
Mm-hmm.
That you're actually taking the time to truly understand yourself.
You talk about innate gifts. I'd like to spend some time talking about that. What am I good at? What am I gifted to do? And
Right.
how can that play into managing my energy and being like a positive force for the people around
Exactly.
me?
I think inner gifts are just really discovered by you stepping out of your comfort zone, just completely doing something different than what you normally do. That's when you discover it. I think when you are stuck in doing the mundane and what you always do, I don't think you truly are exposed to the possibilities, I'll say, of what you truly can do. So you have to try different things for you to go, oh, yeah, that's my jam.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't have known that was my jam until I actually did it. So yeah, I think that's how you figure it out. I mean, I know that's how I figured it out. I have a LinkedIn newsletter that I just started as a result of one of my mentors recommending it. And I was really surprised how people were attracted to it. I think I got like over 1,000 subscribers in a matter of a week, how quickly people just resonated with it. And from me stepping out and doing that LinkedIn newsletter that goes out to the subscribers bi-weekly, I have gained like writing gigs from that on LinkedIn that I would have never thought that I would have been able to do. But it was just me stepping out my comfort zone, doing that. That became made me more aware that, oh, Inga, you can do this.
It's kind of was it a dowsing rod when people are trying to divine where water is? I think you have to go through this internal process of, am I moving towards something that resonates, that creates a positive response
Right.
in me, or am I moving towards something that's soul sucking?
Yep.
You can come back to, am I skilled at being aware of myself? Do I know myself well enough that I know when it's a good resonance and not a negative resonance?
Right. Exactly.
I think there is a place for us here to talk about inner critics, because am I listening to the confident, authentic, humble, vulnerable voice, or am I listening to the critical voice that's telling me I'm not worthy? How do we navigate that push me pull you that can happen as we're trying to gain confidence and be more authentic?
I think you have to listen to what the voice is saying and
Mm-hmm.
how loud the voice is. In my experience, the negative Nancy voice is really loud.
Yeah.
She's telling me what I can't do. She's telling me you ain't never done that before, so why would you even try, kind of thing. So it's, to me, it's very negative, negative. The quiet, calm voice is talking to me as well, but it's very quiet and calm, and there's a peace about it
Mm-hmm.
that I feel that, people say you got to go with your gut. It's one of those things that you're going with your gut, and to me, your gut is the Holy Spirit that's guiding you and telling you this is what you need to do next. I've had times, and my coach has said this, Inga, you know what to do. And that was when I really understood I didn't need to have somebody to affirm that what I was doing was right.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's really cool about being an entrepreneur, that you're guiding the path. It's your vision that you are cultivating. It's not somebody else's vision. Like, because when you're working for somebody else, they're telling you what the vision is. But as an entrepreneur, you are the one cultivating the vision. And as a
Mm-hmm.
result of that, it's very important for you to take the action. Because if you don't have the vision, we all know that the people perish. So when you have the vision, take the action, go through the suck, get the results, and continue to build that confidence muscle.
In my experience, the inner critic is not only the loudest voice, it's also the most boring voice, because it
Mm.
tends to tell me the same thing over
Oh
and
yeah,
over.
that you
It's
that
not,
you're like, are you sure?
yeah,
Did you give me a sign?
it's just a loud screaming, well, you're worthless, you can't do this, where that the voice of love, the Holy Spirit or your inner self, however you want to talk about it, not only is it softer, but it sounds like the people that care about you.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the things that I'll do when I'm coaching folks sometimes is say, I know you know this, and I want you to have another voice. I want you to hear someone telling you, you know this, you're capable of it.
Right. I love it.
And I would take that back to then, who are the people that you're around?
Exactly.
Right? And are
Yep. That
you,
has a lot to do with it.
it
Yep.
does, because that's going to fill you with, these are the voices of the people that care about me.
Yep.
I can hear it in my spouse's voice, in the
Right.
voice of a best friend or a coach, a parent, a caregiver, a literal caregiver.
I like it. I love it. Love it.
Can we spend some time talking about humility?
Yeah, I think the humility comes in the suck. I think we had briefly just discussed that when we
Mm-hmm.
were talking about the vulnerability. That's where the humility comes into, because it just humbles you. We have some people have this thought that, they can conquer all. I'm going to be able to endure. I'm going to be able to do this. And then you're just like, wow, but I didn't. But that's when you're humble. That's what really humbles you and makes you vulnerable, and thinking, okay, you didn't do it, but is that going to stop you from trying?
Yeah.
No, that's not going to stop you from trying. You failed. We just talked about that. You just fail faster.
Yeah.
Keep failing until you find your promised land, or your promised method, or your promised strategy. And after you find it, then share it. So the next person won't have to go through the trials and tribulations that you had to go through to figure it out. I think that's what it really comes down to.
Something I think that's really important for us to say when we're talking about humility is that it's not about just accepting or speaking about your weaknesses. You also have to have knowledge of what you're great at.
Oh, yeah.
And it doesn't mean that you're forcing it on people or that you're being arrogant, but humility gives you credibility to be confident because you've done the work of assessing here's what I suck at, here's when, how, and the extent to which. And through that process, I've learned what I'm actually capable of. The lesson is the journey, and the
Yep.
journey is the process of being humbled. And if you go through that, then you get the reward of confidence.
For sure.
Is there anything that we've not talked about that you're going to be mad at me if we don't get to?
No, I think we pretty much covered it. I mean, we talked about the 5 Ps,
Mm-hmm.
the importance to prepare, to be present, to push out of your comfort zone, to practice, and then get that progress that you want. We talked about how we create confidence. Confidence is not something that you have in the beginning. It's actually what you do in the in the journey. You have to act. You have to suck. Then you get the results, and then you're confident. And then as you build that confidence, you're able to do bigger and better things that are more challenging to you because you have that reference point. So you have that reference point of that muscle constantly getting bigger and bigger, and you're getting these big confidence muscles that you're able to really do the things that you were meant to do so you can be that better version of yourself. And all of this comes about, and which is very important for us to do on a regular basis, which I have decided to do on a daily basis, is to have that quiet time. To really be able to kind of think through what you need to do. And then after you figure that out, then I feel like it's your duty to help someone else along the way that may be in the same path, that may be behind you, that you can help pull up faster. Because to lessen the learning curve for the person behind you is to me very rewarding because you feel like you did all of that for yourself and now you can help somebody else to get there faster. Now, granted, even though you help them in the process, they're still going to have their suck time too. It just probably won't be as long as your suck time. Maybe you cut theirs in half, but they still have suck.
Even if their suck time is twice as long as yours, you are contributing a voice to the chorus that tells them that they can do it.
It's possible. Yep.
Yeah.
You're giving them that hope.
Mm-hmm.
And hope is your hold on, possibilities exist. And I think we all need that in, just everything that we do, life, business, everything. We got to have that hope.
I want to second that time to think, whether it's daily or with some other frequency. There is a practice called morning pages. I'm going to put something into the show notes about it. Comes from a woman named Julia Cameron from The Artist's Way. It's an older book. It's been out probably 30 or 40 years at this point. She outlines a really simple process of starting your day with stream of consciousness writing. 3 pages, handwritten, no specific topic. And the goal is to let your mind get rid of the stuff that's blocking you from being creative, or to delve into what are my new ideas, or to just have a commitment to yourself that you're doing this thing on a regular basis. And that time for me is like the think time that you've talked about. When I miss it, I can tell a difference in my mental life.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to cheat. Something that I want to make certain is a takeaway from today is it's something that you said when we had our first introductory call last month. Inga, you said nobody can do you better.
Oh yeah, nobody can do you better than you. Exactly.
Yeah.
That my slogan is "Do you, boo." For
Yes.
sure. Yes. I mean nobody can. And no, and oftentimes we feel like we have to be like somebody else to be successful. I know I've felt that, and just building my business and just in life. Oh, I need to be like Susie Q because she has XYZ, but I wasn't made that way. So why do I need to be something that I'm not? I need to do me because nobody can do me better than me.
Comparison is the thief of joy.
Oh yeah, it is. It is. If you're going to compare what you did today to yesterday? Were you
100%.
yeah, were you 1% better than you were yesterday? Then if you were, then you are successful. That is a win. That's what it's all about. It's not about, you hitting six figures or whatever your big goal is. Your goal is to be better today than you were yesterday. And tomorrow is better than today. That's what you're going for.
Yeah. And if you're not, then recognize and congratulate yourself on being one more day done with the suck.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. And
Yeah.
then, I think it comes down to you. That's your practice.
Hmm.
That's your practice. Okay. So that didn't work.
Yeah.
So now I got to try something else. I did this, that didn't work. So now I'm going to do this. So yeah.
Excellent. So, ma'am, tell us what all you have going on right now. I want to make certain that we get to give you a bit of a platform for your business and all the amazing work you're
Yeah,
doing.
so right now, like I said, I'm serving introverted entrepreneurs in basically three capacities. I have a DIY course where people can get the ultimate, what I call the perfect icebreaker for an introvert, which is a survey, because surveys allow you to have that think time, find out what the person is needing, and then to see if your product, your service, or your creative idea will help them with that. And if it doesn't, then being able to find somebody that you know in your network that could possibly serve them. So I have that. It's called the Savvy Survey System, and that will help you in your journey as an entrepreneur because it definitely aligns with my A game. You're able to ask and not assume what people want. Then you can assist and not annoy, and then really attract people to you instead of attack. And then the other offerings I have is in a group or a one-on-one setting where I just help you with your business strategy. I'm all about helping people get leads because when you're out of leads, you're out of business. And the leads are really the core of what it comes down to getting your business going. So making sure that you have that a fluid flow of leads, and then after you have them in that big funnel and the ones that fall out the bottom, how you're going to nurture them, how are you going to build that relationship with them, how your mindset, having that growth mindset that you may be in your suck period right now, and what are the things that you need to learn how to do to really be able to nurture and grow an authentic relationships with your leads, that they become raving fans. They're like your cheerleader, telling everybody and their mama about you and what you do and how you help them get to their promised land. Having that kind of community, those raving fans that really want to share you with the world. Making sure that you have that system down, and I help you do that as well. But I just really want to serve people as much as I can and let them know it's cool to be you. However you were made, that was exactly how you were supposed to be, and that just to find your happy place and take that time to really think about what you what you think you were meant to do and not be afraid to fail. Really take that time to fail because that's what's going to really help you figure out what you were meant to do and what you're passionate about and why you're even here and who you serve, because we're all here to serve.
I couldn't agree anymore. You are absolutely right, Inga. You are doing that. I think you are living what you're teaching. I feel elevated from our time together. I was energized when we talked the first time, and this conversation has given me so much to think about, to go reflect on, like my little
Awesome.
introverted heart wants to do. But it's just really filled my bucket as well. Thank you.
Oh, you are so welcome.
If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to support the podcast, please subscribe, leave a rating or review, or share it with others. You'll find Comfy Chairs updates and other thoughts on leadership and learning on Instagram at 123 Limited. That's ONE23 LTD.